The letter Chaf comes after the letter Yud. The letter Yud means hand. Chaf means the palm of the hand. If you look at the shape of the Chaf, you can actually see the form of a cupped hand on its side. When that cupped hand is turned upside down, it has the form of a crown. And thus the word for crown in Hebrew, keter, begins with a chaf. The chaf represents superconscious potential. Because a crown, or for an ordinary Jew, a kippah, a head covering, represents something above the head. The head is the intellect, and the chaf is something on the head, which relates to what we call the superconscious. So the word in Hebrew for potential, a word that we've used many times throughout our explanations of the Hebrew letters, is koach, is potential or power. And it begins with a chaf, because the letter chaf is the letter of potential. If you take the palm and you hold it hand, it's the receiver. It's what receives. So the chaf, from all the different angles, is about potential and about receiving. The meaning of chaf, one of the additional meanings of chaf, is to suppress. Now this is a little bit paradoxical, but it makes perfect sense. In other words, to bring out our potential, many times we have to suppress other forces or drives which are really obstacles to us fulfilling our potential. So on the level of worlds, we need to suppress those forces of nature that are around us, that challenge us, that take our time, that take our energy. On the level of souls, we need to suppress what's called our evil inclination. That a person is made up of many good and not such good drives and desires and passions. To really fulfill our true potential, we need to suppress some of the energies that are taking us away from a more spiritual path. The level of divinity, we need to suppress our feeling that we're far from God, that we're just human beings, so how can we even relate to God? In a sense, we have to suppress this feeling of distance and know that we could get very close to God. The letter Chaf equals 20. And there's a very beautiful connection in the holiday of Sukkot. The top of a sukkah is called schach. It's made up of different kinds of greenery. And through the greenery, we relate to God surrounding us, kind of like a kippah, like a crown, and protecting us. That God's presence is above us. The word schach has a shin and the letter chaf twice. Now there is a Jewish law as to how tall a sukkah could be. And we're told a sukkah that is over 20 amas, an amma is approximately 1.5 feet, is not a kosher sukkah. Why? Because the frame of reference, if we're looking forward and we lift our eyes up, above 20 amas, the schach is not in sight. And the point on sukkahs is to be always aware of God's surrounding energy. So it's very interesting that this seemingly very detailed halacha of how many amas the sukkah can be tall is 20, which is the equivalent of KAF. And the top of the sukkah is called schach, which is made of 2 letters chaf. And the meaning is the meaning of the chaf itself, of this, as it were, God's palms over us and blessing us and giving us energy. So this in itself is a beautiful meditation for the chaf, is to imagine God's energy above us, protecting us, shining down on us, and blessing us.